Fear not, O worm Jacob, I'll take care of you. You know? So that we're not supposed to fear. When we see these things come in, the Rona, the famine, same thing happened in Egypt. This is just the modern day Egypt. We've got Cleopatra's needle. You see it down there? It's Cleopatra's needle, it's got the center. There it is, yeah. The modern day Egypt, we're in modern day Egypt. You know what I mean? On the back of the dollar bill, there's an Egyptian pyramid.
With a capstone. Yeah.
Capstone, yeah. So what in Egypt?
I'm sorry, I have been studying. I'll annoy you because it's not because I don't want to hear your knowledge, it's just maybe I just wanted to bond with somebody as well.
Like I said, the good thing is I've got some understanding. Not all our people do by it. And it tells you that the simple walk by and they're punished. Because it's got us out in the streets now teaching the truth. Right, and it tells you that a wise person would build on another man's wisdom. You understand? So,
it's really nice to meet you, Taz. I'll try and figure out the Hebrew. It's too much to try and figure out.
But you know,
come to me spiritually.
The main thing is concentrating and you and yourself. That's the main thing.
Oh yeah, I'm still
doing all that comes later, but just, you know, all the sins when you think you're committing, just try and do it to the best of your ability. You know, because we can't do it. It tells in Judges 5 and 11, we're rehearsing. When you rehearse for something, it's for the actual occasion. If you're a violinist, you do a lot of rehearsing, and then you go up on stage and play to people. So you can get some notes from. But then when you practice, rehearse, when you go out, you hit it, boom. So this is what we're doing, we're just rehearsing until we can hit it.
Okay, that's encouraging because it's still shedding my joke nature.
It's still probably from the side.
Everyone tells me that. It must be the face. No, I get told that a lot actually.
No, because a lot of the Judites was on the so-called west coast of Africa. And Benjamin took them to the West Indies. So that's why Judah went to the head tribe. It's Judah and the ones where Christ is from. So,
Well, he told me. I had a meltdown actually. I was like, no. But I've been carrying that around for a few years, and then whenever I meet someone with the knowledge, they always say the same thing to me, so it's a confirmation. You know, so I didn't do any DNA tests.
No, we don't want DNA tests.
No, because you're not giving them
it's
my
not accurate.
DNA because they're going to play with me.
Yeah, like DNA tests, they gave a dog DNA and they couldn't distinguish if it was animals or humans. So it's all garbage. All
things,
that.
For real.
I mean, carbon dating, all that, it's all garbage. That's white man science. And it's always fallible in science, you know what I mean? God's is always spirit. You go try the spirit to see if they're a God. That's what I do, I try the spirit, that's what it says. Another woman here, one of our women from Cuba, she started screaming out in the street, even instructing her. You know what I mean? Because I said to her, look, according to the Bible, the man is supposed to rule over the woman, yeah? And she said, no, in the beginning of Genesis, he made them equal. I said, no, he made the people in Genesis, but he gave the men the head. She weren't having it. Muslims, equal. But it's just been Stockholm. She's got Stockholm syndrome. She loves her oppressor. I realise that. I mean, but like I said, this is only for a certain amount of people. Other than that, the rest is going to go through the mill.
You know, the truth is, it gets stuck down there. You know, when you swallow it down, it's like, because there's just a natural resistance that comes up, especially because in the dominant society, as women, like I rule.
Yeah, but at least they give you that perception, though, isn't it?
Rulership and things like that. So that's been broken down in me. But predominantly my entire life, I've always been in control, in charge, and stuff like that. So that goes on. Now, if you live like that your entire life, and then somebody comes and tells you that, you can't take it.
I know.
You can't. It just.
But especially once again, you've been programmed, you've been pushing that, pushing that. But they made sure they've done it to the black woman, not to the white woman. About who's, you know what I mean? Who's their head?
Because you always find a white woman with a man.
Yeah, and they're going to say, oh, that's the head, there's my head there. But even though they do a bit of dominance, but they always say, that's my head there.
Do you know what it is? I've realised what it is because they use resources to control their women.
Right.
Because they give their women resources.
Yeah.
But for us, we don't have the resources, we don't have the men, we don't have it. So it's just like, okay, it's me against the world.
Right, that's what it is. And that's what they do.
You don't realise that. Like their society started breaking down, how the white woman's rebelling against him.
Right.
Karen freak out.
You've got to realise the tables are turning. We are under divine curses.
Yeah.
So it tells you the curse is going to come upon them. You
You
understand?
know what? If you look in Genesis 10 to 13,
It was so nice to see.
if you look in Genesis 10 to 13, the downline of Noah, you'll see all the tribes from the downline, and it shows you all of the different countries by the name of the tribe. That's why they didn't name them by the country. They named them by the tribe. Yeah, so that we would know who they were talking about in the Bible later on.
I know what they're talking about in the Bible. Who are the Israelites today?
The downline of Noah.
Yeah, but who are they?
12 tribes.
Who are they now?
12 tribes.
Who are they? Who are they when we look at them today?
I don't know.
Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah? Right, let's go back into the lesson. Had a so-called Negro woman come up. She knew about the Bible and stuff. Yeah. So let's continue with the word. Yeah. So let's go back into the famine. So it says, where was we? As the Rona spread rapidly around, no, it says here, the choice of words conveys more than just scale. Biblical stories of devastating famines are familiar to many. As a scholar of the Hebrew Bibles, I understand that the famines in biblical times were interpreted as more than mere natural occurrences. And that's true. The famines, everything is of God. Said the authors of the Hebrew Bible use famine as a mechanism of divine wrath and destruction. Right? Because the Bible tells you that I will bring famines, death, destruction. Yeah? It tells you that in 2nd Esdras. Let's get it quick. This is 2nd Esdras 9:1. It says, answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand it is the very same time wherein the pious will begin to visit the world when what he made. Therefore, when thou shalt see earthquakes, uproars of the people in the earth. No, let's just get the 16th chapter. Or is it 15? 2nd Esdras 15. Yeah, this is it. Sorry, that was wrong. This is 2nd Esdras 15:1. It says, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, and thus saith Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity, the unbelief of them trouble thee, that speak against thee, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness, saith the Lord. And it says, behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. And this is what's coming. This is what's coming. These people haven't got a clue what's coming. Famine's coming to this place soon. Yeah? And that's what I'm out here bringing that. Famine's coming in. These shops are going to be lacking food. Cannibalism's on the top of the agenda. People are going to be eating people the same way we did in Masada. So let's go back. So it says, Bible used famine as a mechanism of divine wrath and destruction. We just read it, but also as a storytelling device, a way to move away to move the narrative forward. And it says, when the heavens open, when the heavens don't open, in other words, when there's no rain, yeah? It says here, underlying the text about famine in the Hebrew Bible was a constant threat and reoccurring reality of famine in the ancient Israel. Let's read about famine in ancient Israel. It says, for centuries, agriculture in the land of Israel was highly dependent on irregular rainfall, making drought and consequent famine of frequent occurrence. Okay? Paradoxical appreciation of Deuteronomy 11 and 10 of this disadvantage as involving God in constant attention on the land. Right, because the land was given to, we had to get the Canaanites out of the land, you see. So that's why the land was called Israel when we went into the land. Prior to that it was called Canaan, the land of Canaan. And it said, put a good face upon what Ezekiel in 36 and 30 bluntly calls the land's reproach among the nations for its famine. Kimei comments on this as follows. The land of Israel stands in greater need of rain than other lands, being mountainous in contrast, e.g. to the great river valleys of Mesopotamia and Egypt. Hence, famine is more common in that elsewhere, and when one has to leave the land for another because of famine. The famine is coming, and a lot of these people, they're going to reap and moan. They're going to understand. They're going to say, why? Why in the Western world? Why here? Because of your transgressions, yeah? Because you took God's chosen into captivity. And it says here, more common elsewhere. It says here, one has to leave the land because of famine. As a witness, Abraham, Isaac, and Elimelech, it is a reproach to it. Others' cause of famine through natural causes was the failure of crop through pests and disease, locusts and disease, yeah, like locusts in the Bible. Famine was caused by siege in time of war. War's coming as well. We've got the Third World War coming. America's down in China, South China Sea. Israel's down on the border of Syria and Iran. China versus India. Turkey versus China, India. So there's war brewing up. We're coming to the Third World War. You understand? And the Lord needs fire. Fire is a good cleanser. So the missiles, them intercontinental ballistic missiles, are going to burn at 1,000,000 degrees, man. The earth needs cleansing. And it says, in addition to these two acts of God, famine was caused by siege in time of war, and of the famines in Israel mentioned in the Bible. Most famous, the 7 years famine predicted by Joseph in Egypt, including also the land of Israel, Genesis 41, 54, Genesis 30, 43 and 1. Most were due to droughts. Genesis 12 and 10. Genesis 26 and 1, Genesis 41:54, Ruth 1 and 1, 2 Samuel 21 and 1, 1 Kings 18, 1 to 2, 2 Kings 8 and 1, and apparently Amos 4 and 6, verses 2 to 2, the result of siege. So famine, these are the things that happen where famines can come about. They have Samaria by Ben-Hadad, 2 Kings 2, 6 and 24 to 29. And it says, and of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, okay, and one the result of the visitation of locusts. And we're getting that now in Africa, Joel 1 and 4 to 20. It says a vivid description of the effects of drought occurs in Jeremiah 14 and 1 to 6. The same conditions, both natural and man-made, says here, continue during the period of the Second Temple, but to them we added famine, or at least shortages of food. And that's what's happening now, shortages of food. Go in America, their shelves are empty, they're emptying. Just like over here, this is an island. They import a lot of the things to this place. And they're having problems with their import and export. So we're going into famine in this place. But it's all due to them putting their hands on us and building their society off of our labour. Yeah? And our people don't realise that there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to come out of all this wicked rulership. When they see this, when you see these things happening, be joyful, because we're coming to the end of our captivity. And it says here, which resulted from the strict adherence to the law requiring that the land should remain untilled during the sabbatical year, to which there is no historical reference in the Bible. The frequency of famine is reflected in the fact that the 7 calamities said in Mishnah to conflict the world because of sin. 3 are famines of various degrees of intensity. The famine of drought, which does not affect the whole population. The famine of panic, which affects all. The famine of utter destruction, traditional triad of major catastrophes. Okay, so let's go back into the original, and it says here, Israel occupied the rocky highlands of Canaan, an area of present-day Jerusalem, and the hills to the north of it, rather than fertile coast plains. Even in the best years, it took enormous efforts to coax sufficient substance out of the ground. The rainy season were brief. Any precipitation less than normal, that means any downfall less than normal, could be devastating. And that's what's happening now in America. They're lacking rain. The precipitation of rain is not falling. They're drying up down there. It says here, across the ancient Near East, drought and famine were feared. In the 13th century BC, nearly all the Eastern Mediterranean civilizations collapsed because of prolonged drought. Drought, no crops, no food, death. That's what it leads to. Let's see what this says. It says here, drought led to collapse of civilization, study shows. It says, what happened about 3,200 years ago to bring about the collapse of not just one, but a number of flourishing civilizations in the eastern shores of the Mediterranean? A study of fossilized pollen particles taken from sediments at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee may have solved an intriguing historical mystery that has been troubling archaeologists for decades. In a short period of time, the entire world of the Bronze Age crumbled, saying Israel Finkelstein, an archaeologist at the Institute of Agriculture at Tel Aviv University, who was one of the lead scientists in the study. The Hittite Empire of Egypt, the Pharaohs and the Mycenaeans culture in Greece, the copper-producing kingdom located on the island of Cyprus, the great trade emporium of Urgit on the Syrian coast, and the Canaanite city-states under Egyptian hegemony, so it was under the Egyptian rule, all disappeared, and only after a while were replaced by the territorial kingdom of the Iron Age, including Israel and Judah. So famine is one of the main reasons why societies fall apart. That's why this society is falling apart as well. Famine. These places, these shops are going to be a lack of food. Did you know that, man? There's going to be lack of food soon. Yeah? And these people walking up and down, they're walking, it says, the simple pass by and are destroyed. You understand? It starts. Here, disasters have all been postulated as possible causes, but now thanks to sophisticated pollen sampling techniques and advantages of radiocarbon dating, Finkelstein and his colleagues believe they know primary culprits, or rather a succession of severe droughts over a 150-year period from 1250 BC to about 1150 BC. These fairly precise dates come from core samples drilled into the sediments at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee. The drill cores extend 18 meters into the seabed and cut across a range of sediments deposited over the past 9,000 years. Yeah, and it says, I'll go back to the articles. You got the gist, and it says, for the biblical authors, rain was a blessing and drought a curse. As the scripture says that when let's see if I can find it.
Yes, General.
The heathens. If the heathens don't serve us, there shall be no rain in their land. If the heathens don't serve us, no rain in their land. Zechariah 14 and 7. Zechariah 14:17. Zechariah 14:17. Let's see what that says. Zechariah 14:17, and it says, "And it shall be that whosoever will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain." You understand? So it's gonna, if the people that don't want to worship us, there's gonna be no rain in their land. And that's what it says here. In Deuteronomy, the book of Hebrew, it says here, for the biblical authors, rain was a blessing and drought a curse. So it told us that if they don't come and worship us, we're going to put that curse on them. No rain in their land. You understand? So that means no crops, no food, death and destruction's coming. Yeah? So it says here. Quite literally, it says here,